Okay, we'll start. Good evening to everybody. On behalf of Philosophy family, I extend a happy welcome to the speaker, Madam Sarmistha, Dr. Sarmistha Nandi, and all the dignitaries of today's webinar. I can see the faces of the many dignitaries and senior professors like Professor Avinas, Professor Srinivasan, Professor Bundavan Mahapatra sir, Professor Ranjit Ghosh sir, Professor Amlesh and Anisha and all others. I extend my welcome and namaskar to all of them for joining in the Sunday webinar. So today we have invited Madam Dr. Sarmistha Nandi, MA MPhil PhD from Delhi to share her academic wisdom before us. And Dr. Sarmistha Nandi did her MPhil from Delhi University and PhD from
No,
Jadavpur
sir.
University.
MPhil from Jadavpur University. No, no, no. MPhil from Jadavpur
Okay,
University. Yes, yes.
MPhil, okay, MPhil from Jadavpur University and a PhD from Delhi University. And
Mhm.
now she's working as a guest assistant professor in University of Delhi. And to her credit, Dr. Nandi has published different articles in different national and international journals, and her way of teaching the students is very praiseworthy. So today, she has accepted our invitation to be the guest of today's webinar. I extend our best wishes and extend our welcome to Madam Nandi to accept our invitation on this occasion. I also extend my pranam to all the senior professors and viewers of today webinar from our country and abroad to be with us. With this, I also extend my welcome to the host and convener of this Sun Philosophy family, Professor Pramod Madas, and a moderator, Professor Dr. K. Omanarnao. With this, I extend my welcome to all the viewers, and I request Madam Nandi to start her topic on a particular theme, that is a critical and philosophical exposition of ignorance by following the Vedanta schools like Data, Advaita, and Vishishtadvaita philosophy. Over to Madam Sarmistha Nandi.
Thank you so much. And first of all, good evening to everyone present here. And thank you so much for this beautiful welcome. And I am really very much grateful to each of you for welcoming me and obviously for inviting me at this platform. So today's topic, as already sir said, that it is all about ignorance, and obviously it is all about the Indian philosophy's perception. So first of all, as the school I took particularly, that is the Vedanta philosophy. So all of us, we know already some of the point. I know that yes, these points already people know about, but still just the as my paper needs these points to be clear. So that is why I am saying these points, and I think that I should mention these points. Like we all know that Vedanta philosophy, that it is all about the Uttar Mimamsa school, that who are actually concentrating on the Jnana Kanda. Okay, that Jnana Kanda and the Karma Kanda we know about, and the Vedanta philosophy particularly concentrating on the Jnana Kanda. So now that what is Vedanta philosophy? That we all know that there are four parts in Vedas, like Samhita, Aranya, Brahman, and Upanishad. So why it is known as Vedanta? Vedanta is, if we divide this term Vedanta, that we can have two prefixes, that Veda and Anta. So Veda is the ultimate knowledge. It is the complete knowledge. It is the ultimate pure form of the knowledge. And the other part, that Anta, that we know that Anta means end. Okay. So now why it says that it is Vedanta? Why it is the end? Why it is the Anta? Because the Vedanta school, the Vedanta studies deals with the Upanishads, and Upanishads are the last and the end part of the Vedas. That is why it is known as Vedanta. Okay. So now that as we know that the Brahma Sutra, it is that it written by Vadarayana, and there are various interpreters of the Brahma Sutra. So some of them are very much well known, and Sankaracharya from Advaita Vedanta. That here I want to mention one more thing, that we all know that Sankaracharya as the precursor and the founder of Advaita Vedanta, but that is not exactly the information. That actually he also had a teacher, and he was Acharya Gaudapada, and after that Govindapada, and after that Shankaracharya. So Shankaracharya, before Shankaracharya, there was also two teachers of Advaita Vedanta. Okay, so right now, yes, we are following the notion specifically, which was shown by Shankaracharya. Okay, and beside Advaita Vedanta, there is Dvaita Vedanta. The founder is Madhvacharya, and Ramanuja's Vishishta Dvaitavad. We all know that. So now that why there is so much ambiguities? Okay, that yes, because they all are the interpreters of Brahma, the Brahma Sutra. As we know that Advaita Vedanta, what is Advaita Vedanta? Advaita, it clearly we can understand from this term Advaita that it talks about that there is no duality, there is no Daita Bhava. Okay, there is no Daita Shatta. That is why it is Advaita. And what is that Advaita? That is Ekama Ditya Brahman. Okay, so after that, if we will take the Daita philosophy, so there is Madhvacharya, and according to him, that there is the self has its steps. Not all the selves are equal to the God. Even all the selves cannot reach at the level of the God. There is always that differences between this Paramatma and the Jivatma. So he also said about the two kinds of satta, that is the satantra satta and asatantra satta. Asatantra satta is the Vishnu, who is the Brahman, and on the other hand there is asatantra satta, like the jivatmas, like us. This is the asantra satta. And very specifically, there is another salient difference between Advaita Vedanta and the Dvaita Vedanta. That is, the Advaita Vedantis do believe in the in the the meditations, the mark of the knowledge, okay, the way of the knowledge. But on the other hand, the Daita philosophy, they actually concentrated on the Jnana Marg, Bhakti Marg, Karmiya Marg, this kind of things, that Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, we all know that. So these are the very basic differences between the Daita philosophy and the Advaita philosophy. So now here is like why the matter of avidya and agyan is so important. That as we all know, that as I said, that Vedanta means the complete knowledge, okay, and it is the anta means the mean, the end. So Vedanta explains the relationship of the unmanifest absolute reality to the manifest aspect of the life. Although Brahman appears to undergo a transformation, in fact, no real change takes place. So, as I already said, that according to Advaita Vedanta, there is one reality, and that is the Brahman. Okay, but what is avidya then? Avidya, according to Advaita philosophy, that the avidya is the false knowledge. It is not the real one. Here, I have to mention one more thing, that according to the Ramanujan's philosophy, according to the Madhvacharya's philosophy, they would never say that the agyan is something which is false. Okay, they will never say that it is false. They would always say that this is a gyan. That as we know that in Indian philosophy there is two kinds of gyanas. One is yathartha and another one is ayathartha, like prama and aprama. So whatever is the purest form of knowledge, like the knowledge of the Brahman, the Paramathic Satyasgan, that is the Prama, okay, which is abadhita, like which is Trikala Badhita. We cannot seize that knowledge, we cannot resist that knowledge, okay. That is the purest form, that is the Brahman's knowledge. On the other hand, that is the Agyan, that is the Gyan, but Ayathartha Gyan. This is the false knowledge whatsoever. Now I have to mention one more thing, that as we know that according to the Advaita philosophy, they have done a very technical and smart steps they have taken. That is, they affirmed three kind of sattas, that is Paramathika, Vyavaharika, and Pratibhasika. So what is that avidya? How avidya works? So avidya is not the real one, but avidya is something where it it is visible through its influence of what it actually imposes, its falsity, its creativeness, its qualities on the nirguna brahman. And the nirguna brahman will go through this transformation, though it is not real. Again, I am mentioning that it is not the real transformation. We all know about the vivartavad, that where it is clearly said that brahman himself or itself will not be changed, but due to our ignorance, due to our avidya, we actually imposes some quality and the worldly natures or and everything on that brahman. That is the vivartavada. Whenever that ignorance will be dismissed, will be dissolved, then the people will come to know that there were no world and no worldly objects at all what we perceived, but it is all about the pure form of the satta. And we, the jivatma and the paramatma, like the brahman, we both are identical. That is why the main teaching of advaita vedanta is what? That jeev brahma sattvam jagat mitha jiva brahmaiva napara, like there is no differences between jiva and brahman. So now what is the maya? So Maya can only be known by its influence, as I said, that through the influence of Maya, Brahman remains unchanged but appears as the manifested world. Vedanta also describes the grosser levels of Maya known as avidya or ignorance of the Atman. Through the effect of Maya, Brahman is seen as Ishvara, the personal God, like the Sagun Brahma. As we know that in Advaita Vedanta, there is difference between the Sagun Brahma and Nirgun Brahma. Nirgun Brahma is the purest form of the Brahma, which is Anirvachaniya Sat and Paramathika Sat, and the Sagun Brahma is the God. Okay. So what we actually worship, what we actually consider as the most powerful one, the creator, the destroyer, the sustainer of the world. Okay, so here is that through the effect of Maya, Brahman is seen as the Ishvara and the personal God, and through the effect of ignorance, Atman appears as the Jiva or the individual soul. Brahman appears as the manifold objects of experience because of its creative power, Maya. Maya is what now? Maya is that which appears to be real at the time of experience, but which does not have ultimate existence. It is dependent on pure consciousness. Why it is dependent on the pure consciousness? Because according to some Vedanta philosophers and the Vedanta philosophical schools, that Maya is the power of Brahman. Okay, it is the power of Brahman. Even Ramanuja would say that it is not directly the power of Brahman, but it is the power of the Ishvara. Okay, Ishvara. Some of the Vishishta Dvaitavadi will say that. So now that although Brahma appears undergo the transformation, in fact, no real change takes place. Vedanta explains this by introducing the principle of Maya, which means that which does not exist. It does not exist, but it can be known by its influence, as I told. So, through the influence of Maya, the Brahman appears as a manifested world. Whatever I already told these things. Now, here, uh, I would say that I will raise three questions. But before three questions, I will discuss. I think that we should discuss that what is avidya. According to the Advaita Vedanta school, what is avidya? Avidya is the prithak prasthan. It is the prithak prasthan. What is prithak prasthan? Prithak prasthan is that what theory and one concept which is only introduced by or discussed by the one specific Indian school. Here, I want to add one more thing that though, according to all the Indian philosophical schools, avidya is the ultimate cause for it. It is the ultimate upadana karana. It is the ultimate upadana karana of this world and all the that the agyan, whatever that the suffering and everything. Avidya is the main cause. But the way the Advaitins introduced avidya as the false knowledge, as the wrong thing, what actually does not exist in the world, it is personally and specifically Advaitin's notion what makes the difference between Advaitavadins with the other philosophical schools. So now, what is the Prithak Prasthan? As I told, that Prithak Prasthan is that what is the specific notion and the concept introduced by one philosophical schools, that is the Advaita Vedantis specifically introduced concept, that is avidya. That is why avidya is the Prithak Prasthan of the Advaita schools. So now I need to say that what is the lakshan, what is the definition of avidya? Avidya is yet in Setashar Upanishad, um, Sadananda Yogindra, he took the definition from Setashara Upanishad, that is Agyanam tu Satshadvam Anirvachaniyam Trigunatmakam Jnana Viradi Bhavarupam Yat Kinchit Idi Vadanti. So, if we will see the definition of avidya, so there is clearly five keywords, important keywords we can see. That is the anirvachaniya, nirgunatmak, jnana viradhi, bhavarupa, and yat kinchit. These five terms we can have. Now the Dvaita Vedantis, and one more thing which is not mentioned clearly in the definition of avidya, but I have to say that according to Advaita Vedantis, the agyan, the avidya is the anadi. It is anadi. It is beginningless. It is not endless, but it is beginningless. Okay, in this way it is anadi. Now the Daitavadins, they had three kind of objections, and these objections are that how the beginningless anadi avidya existence avidya can be destroyed. If it is anadi, okay, if it is anadi, then how can someone destroy this anadi power? Number two is how the avidya is beginningless. Okay, why and how we can claim that the avidya is beginningless. Okay, if you consider the Brahman as the purest form of knowledge, then how can you say that because you are claiming that you only believe in the one and only Brahman, then it seems very much self-contradictory. Then on the other hand, you are also affirming that point that there is one more concept like avidya which is also anadi. Okay, if it is anadi, then why it is destroyable? This is the another question. Number three question they raised, that is how the avidya can be withdrawn by the purest knowledge, how it is jnana nashya. Because the Dvaita Vedantis raised objections in three adjectives as well. These three adjectives are anadi, as I the mentioned questions. It is very clear that they had the objection that why it is anadi, why according to the Advaita philosophy, why avidya is anadi. Anadi, why the Bhavarupa term they used in the definition of avidya, and number three is Jnana Nashya. Now, they actually explain that why it is anirvachaniya, why according to the Advaita Vedanti, the avidya is anirvachaniya. That as we know that anirvachaniya is what we cannot explain in words. That is the anirvachaniya. By bachan, by any words, we cannot explain that particular, object. That is the anirvachaniya. So why avidya is anirvachaniya now? According to the Advaita philosophy, it is something which is not Sat or pure knowledge like Brahman. It is not Asat as well. Why it is not Asat? Because we can perceive the avidya through its influences. How? Like the worldly objects, as I already mentioned, that according to them there are three separate sattas, and in the Vyavaharik sattas this world is real. We consider this world is real at the stage of Vyavaharik satta, which is actually ultimately this is false, but in the Vyavaharik stages it is real. Okay, so the world and the worldly gross objects, these are perceivable through the influence of the avidya. That is why the avidya is perceivable. So we cannot consider it as asat. What is asat? The asat is the alik, like the that golden mountain, the rabbit's horn, these kind of things, the unicorn. These are the are things which are the unobject. So unobject is not perceivable, but avidya is perceivable. That is why we cannot consider avidya even as asat. This is not sat sat as well. Why this is not sat sat? Because one object simultaneously cannot be white and black together, right? Because either that particular object has to be same as white or black, but together it cannot be white and black. We cannot perceive anything together at the same time as black and white. That is why it is not sat. That is why according to Advaita Vedanta the avidya is sat vilakshan anirvachaniya. That is why this is anirvachaniya, because we cannot consider this as asat and sat as well. Now the Daita Vedantis, the Madhvacharya had some problems with it. According to Madhvacharya, and even in that all the Saradarshanas basically, according to all the Saradarshanas, one I had some questions, but please just let me finish at first. After that, I will explain everything, because time is very short and I cannot present any PPT because my laptop is not working right now properly. So I tried to concise the point as much as I could. So now that according to Daita philosophy, that there cannot be the third occurrence. There must be two occurrence only, like Sat and Asat. There cannot be three occurrence. We cannot consider like Sat Sat. Either one object has to be white or black. It has to be colorful or dull. But we cannot say that there is some other locus as well that we should consider as Sat Sat. So, according to the Daita school, this definition or this term they introduced for the not introduced, they used for the avidya, that is the anirvachaniya. It does not stand. Okay. So, what is the reply here? Advaita Vedanta's reply. Advaita Vedanta's reply is that because why we should consider the third locus here, the third point here, like satsat, because as they say that it is not the purest form as Brahman, it is not the alik vastu, the an object like the unicorn, like the golden mountain. Okay, so that is why they have to consider some more point as the satsat. So this was their that their point basically as the reply. And number two, that as I said that the number two keyword is that trigunatmakam. The three gunatmakam, we know that there is three gunas according to the all Indian philosophy, and specifically the Sankhya philosophy, and even in Gita we can have this, that Satya, Raja and Tama. So but we should not confuse the theory of Advaita Vedanti's Trigunatmakam with the Sankhya's theory of Trigunatmakam. Why? Because according to Sankhya philosophy, the Samavastha, the balance of these three gunas is what? It is the prakriti. It is the prakriti. It is the main cause of the creation. Okay, that is the prakriti, which is the ultimate cause of the creation. We know these things, but there is a difference between the Sankhya and the Advaita. Why? Because according to Advaita Vedanti, this three gunas balance is known as avidya. Avidya, that is the ignorance, that cause of the world. According, as I said earlier, that according to the Advaita Vedanti, the ultimate cause, the ultimate material cause of the world is the avidya. Okay, so this is the avidya, this is the cause of the world, but this is not real as prakriti, which introduced by the Samkhya philosopher. So in this way, the avidya is trigunatmakam. Okay. Number three is it is Bhavarupa. Why it is Bhavarupa? According to the Advaita Vedantis, we must consider the avidya as bhavani. Why? Because whatever is perceivable in front of us in this world, okay, even this world as well, this world is it's not a bhava rupa. There is two rupas, bhava rupa and abhava rupa. This is not these all objects are bhava rupa. This is not the abhava rupa. And if something is abhava rupa, okay, then we cannot consider a, an abhava, that absence cannot produce, which is bhava rupa, which is perceivable, which is not perceivable, that cannot produce anything which is perceivable. So the agyan, the abhav, that particular prefix that actually refers something's absence. It refers something absence, but what kind of absence? The absence of the pure knowledge. Okay, but still it is bhavarupa. Why? Because it creates through this bhavarupa agyana. If we considered it as the avava, then avava cannot produce anything bhavarupa. That is, in this way the avidya must be considered as the bhavarupa. Then why it is Jnana Viredhi? According to Advaita Vedanta school, that as here I should mention that ignorance, the avidya has two kinds of powers. Okay, one is the Jnana Shakti, another one is the Kriya Shakti. I actually noticed somewhere that many people say that avidya has two powers, that is avarana shakti and vikyapa shakti. Yes, it has two powers, avarana and vikyapa, but before that we should know that the avidya has two shaktis, jnana shakti and kriya shakti. Then the kriya shakti is divided between two powers, that is the avarana shakti and the vikyapa shakti. And what these two shaktis do, that the Avaranya Shakti actually covers the reality, and the Vikhyapa Shakti, it represents or it presents the reality as the false knowledge. Like if you if you will take the examples of the rope and the snake, that the Prativasik Satyas Gan. Okay, what is that? That in the Prativasik Satyas Gan, due to the avarana shakti of avidya, the rope, we can, the snakeness, the qualities of the snake, it will covers it will cover the reality or the look of the real rope. And after that, due to the Bikhepa Shakti, what it will do, the Bikhepa Shakti represent the rope as the snake, which is not real, like which is the Mithya gun. Okay. So obviously what I said, that it has two kinds of Shakti. The one is Jnana Shakti. And what is Jnana Shakti? What is Jnana Shakti? Jnana Shakti is that through which the avidya produce this world. Okay, the akasha, the ether, the air, and everything. That is the Jnana Shakti. Okay, through this Jnana Shakti, that avidya produce or presents the Brahman as the world. That is the Jnana Shakti. So there is differences, or there is some divisions in its power of avidya. Now, why it is considered as yat kinchit? Yat kinchit, as we know that even in the Western philosophy as well, that the term something is very important. Something. When we explain something, we actually try to explain some notion or some object by some specific definition, or by some specific qualities or characteristic. We would always say that it is something which is that. So, yat kinchis is what? Yat kinchis is that something. As it is anirvachaniya, as it is anirvachaniya, as it is something which what we cannot claim as real, as we cannot claim, because according to Advaita Vedanta, only one that only one Sat is real, which does exist, that is Brahman. So they would never say that the avidya is something which is existent. This is existent, but in a way of falsity. It is not the real one. Okay. So according to them, because we cannot explain the avidya with anything, okay, that is why we have to say that yat kinchit. Like it is something which is this and that. If that is why they use a term that is yat kinchit. Now, why it is anadi? There is like a long dispute. These two philosophical schools had between them. That is why it is anadi. While I have to say that in the definition of the avidya, they directly didn't introduce that word anadi, for avidya. But I need to say that if we will follow the Vedanta Sara and other that Vedanta Paribhasha, Vedanta Darshanam, that we see that yes, they according to the Advaita Vedanta is the avidya is anadi. Okay, so why it is anadi now? Because why it is anadi? Because it has no material cause or attribute. If it is the ultimate cause of the world or all the worldly objects. Okay, whatever is the ultimate one, it does not have any other cause. Okay, it does not have any other cause. As the avidya is the ultimate material cause. That is why as that is why we have to consider avidya as the anadi one, because whatever is shadi, whatever is destroyable, like destroyable in which way, like in a pure way of knowledge, whatever is true but destroyable, that cannot produce anything which we can perceive. What is pure, as the Brahman. Okay, so the avidya is anadi and bhavarupa as well. At the same time, it is bhavarupa as well. So now, what there is a question that now one can question here, that the horn of rabbit cannot be created. So what does it mean? As we said that the ultimate cause of the world cannot be created, it also does not have any other cause. That is why the avidya has to be considered as anadi. Okay, so now someone can question here that even the rabbit's horn, it is also nobody can create the rabbit's horn. Then the rabbit's horn also has to be considered as the anadi one. Then there is the answer, like we cannot perceive the rabbit's horn ever, even in the future, even not right now, even if we go in the past, then nobody can claim that yes, I have seen a golden mountain, or yes, I have seen a rabbit's horn, okay, or an unicorn. Nobody can claim, even not in the future, even not right now. Nobody can claim such kind of that existence. existence of that objects. But as earlier I have already said it, again I am mentioning that the avidya is something which is presentable or perceivable through its influences. Okay, through its influences of what? Avadana Shakti and Vikapa Shakti. Through its power, through its Vikapa Shakti and Avadana Shakti, it is perceivable. That is why we cannot compare avidya with with the alik bostu, like unicorn, like the golden mountain, okay, like the rabbit's horn, such kind of things. In this way, Advaita Vedantis claimed that the avidya has to be considered as the अनादि as well. It is not शादी. अगर ये शादी होता, अगर ये अनादि नहीं होता, it could not create anything perceivable. Okay. Now, as I said, that I already discussed about the that powers of the avidya. Now there are some types of avidya as well, but I would not describe in a very explicit form, but I just want to mention those. Okay, so there are three kinds of ignorance, because I think that my point is the disputes, okay, the argumentations held between these two philosophical schools. That is my main point. So I just want to mention these three. That is the Mula Jnana. Number one is Mula Jnana. Number two is Tula Jnana. Number three is Avastha Jnana. And there is another two as well. That is the Asatya Padit and Avhana Padit. Okay, there are this kind of ignorance we can have. So now, as I said, that there are three kind of questions. When I have started my presentation, I have said that the Advaita Vedantis raised three questions, and that questions are that why the avidya is anadi, how it is anadi, why we should consider it as bhavarupa, why we should consider it as anirvachaniya. They had three adjectives problem. They had actually problems with three objectives, that bhavarupa, anirvachaniya, and jnana vinasha, as I told it. So now, like, yes, the criticism. Now I want to start the criticism that avidya is not a bhavarupa and anirvachaniya as well, according to the Daita philosophy. For the Daitavadins, the prefix a in the term avidya clearly refers something's absence or non-existence of something in vidya. So here the absence or abhava can be taken as Attantya Bhava and Ananya Bhava. Now, what is Attantya Bhava? We all know that what cannot exist in teen colors. Okay, in the three colors with the three color abhava. That is the Attantya Bhava. कभी नहीं exist कर सकते. Number two is the Ananya Bhava. Ananya Bhava is what? That it is meant as avidya is not vidya. That means avidya is something which is different from the vidya or the pure knowledge. Okay. In this way, we can raise two kind of absences. Two kinds of absences is there in the prefix a of avidya. So now, why it is not anirvachaniya? Okay, why it is not anirvachaniya? Because if we would say that avidya is the absence of the pure knowledge, number two, it is different from the vidya. Number three, it is opposite of vidya. If we will take these three kind of the senses of absence, that we would not claim, we cannot claim the avidya as anirvachaniya. Why? Because in these three steps, in these three senses, we are explaining the avidya basically. Okay, so that is why we cannot say or claim anymore that avidya is anirvachaniya. So, and even if we will use one of the sense here, avidya, the avidya is anirvachaniya, as I told, that then it is describable in words. We cannot say after that that yes, it is anirvachaniya. So number two is, if avidya is different from the vidya, then all the objects which are not included in the concept of vidya will become avidya. Okay. Number three is, if we will take the third option, then every imperfect knowledge, like doubt, like false knowledge, will be included in the in the concept of avidya. So then it must not define as anirvachaniya. Okay, because we then we can differentiate it from something. We can explain it with some specific characterizations and specific qualities. Then how could you claim after that that yes, it is anirvachaniya? And why it is not Bhavarupa? It is not Bhavarupa because avidya should not be defined as Bhavarupa, because people cannot perceive in the real life. Okay. In the real life, we cannot say that yes, this is the object. Okay, this is the object which is avidya. I can refer this object as pain. I can show that yes, see this object, this is pain. But in the case of avidya, we cannot claim that see this is the object which is known as avidya. Okay, so this is the difference between these two. Because in this way, like in the way we can perceive this object which is known as pain, we cannot perceive some object which is known as avidya in the real life. So this is the difference between this object which is perceivable and the avidya. So now what is the reply of the Advaita Vedanta school? So avidya is Bhavarupa. Why avidya is Bhavarupa now? The Advaita Vedantis will reply here. Okay. What is their reply? They are replying here that as the avidya has two kind of powers through which people perceive the world, its objects as well. In the Vyavaharic stages, the world and all its objects are Bhavarupa, and no Bhava Padartha can be produced from any non-existent object. It is something like that it is your objection, but I am using this objection as my weapon. As the Daitavadin said already, that no abhava padartha, no something like that, which is bhava rupa. Okay, so if it is bhava rupa, then it will always produce the bhava padartha. Even not only according to the Daitavada philosophy, it would be, affirmed by all the Sardarshana except the Charvakas. So everybody will say that all the Vabha, if it is something Vabharupa, then it can produce something Avavarupa. So sorry, Vabharupa. No, nothing Ava cannot produce anything Vabharupa. So, in that way, as I said, that avidya is perceivable through its influences like Avadana Shakti and Vikhepa Shakti. So, in this way, we cannot say that even if it is true that we cannot specifically refer some object that yes, this is the object which is known as avidya. Yes, Advaita Vedantis will always admit that yes, we cannot refer a particular object that yes, this is avidya, like a pen. Okay, they would never say. They would always say the Advaita philosophy, but do not compare with such object. Why? Because it is not the pure one. It is not the pure one. It is destroyable. है ना? It is destroyable. Because according to them, it is not true. It is destroyable. Then why would they claim that yes, something is there as an object which is known as avidya? Okay. So number two is it is anirvachaniya. Why it is anirvachaniya? According to the Advaita Vedanta, that it is true that the term A, okay, it is the absence of absence, and yes, this is the Atanta Bhava and Ananya Bhava. But the case is, even after that, we cannot say that, the definition of avidya is wrong. Why? Because even after that, even in that case, there is nothing wrong in the definition of avidya. Why? Since false knowledge is not permanent, it can be destroyed by the pure knowledge. Okay, so because it is very much clear, okay, because they use the term jnana nashya about the avidya. So there is nothing wrong. If it is abhava rupa, the Advaitas never said that yes, it is something which is like permanent. Okay, it is jnana nasha. They already have said. So there is nothing wrong in they have put in the definition of the avidya. After that, the second question, I know that time is very less, but the number two question is how does the Bhava Rupa and Anadi Avidya is destroyed? If it is Bhava Rupa and if it is Anadi, then how we can say that it is destroyable? Because if it is Anadi, then it is something permanent. Okay. Now the point is that if avidya is anadi and vavarupa, like God, like soul, etc. This is the objection I am like right now I am talking about. It is the objection that like God, like soul, etc. Then avidya must not be destroyed because the soul, the gods, okay, this kind of entities cannot be destroyed by anything pure because these things are already pure. They themselves are pure. Okay, then we cannot destroy it by anything pure. Okay, if avidya is anadi, then we have to say that it is the purest form also. Then how can we say that yes, it is destroyable? It must not be destroyed by anything. So after and if the Advaitins would still say that the avidya is anadi and vadarupa too, then it would become self-contradictory. Number two, secondly, if the Advaita Vedanti would say that not all the Anadi and Bhavarupa Padartha indestructible, then their introduced definition of avidya would become referentless. Okay. Why? Because obviously, if that is there is if there is something that yes, I can apply this definition for some of the objects, okay, and the sum of the objects are the avidya, then according to the schools, then there is something that the avidya would become the reference place, the definition would become the reference list. But what would be the answer of the that is very much interesting that I actually love this reply of them that according to the Advaita Vedantis, whatever is the ultimate cause, okay, that if we will see the notion of Nayayikas, what is the ultimate cause of this world? That is the atoms. Though we know that the from the thrush renu, it starts to be visible. Okay, we can visible the collection of the atoms when it takes the form of the thrush renu. Okay, but the ultimate that one atom, okay, that one atom is something which is the another one, which cannot be changed. Okay, but the case is like the Prakriti and Purush, everything that there is a transformation, there is 25 steps according to the Sankhya philosophy. After that, this world and everything, took their place. According to the Advaita Vedantis, they replied that all worldly objects are made up with numerous atoms, like a pot is set up with numerous atoms of mud. After burning off, its qualities of mud get changed, and by default, its qualities got destroyed, which it had earlier. Though the atoms are anadi and bhavarupa, but its qualities have been changed after its burning, so that color, shape, etc. of an atom can be changed and destroyed, though the atoms are anadi and bhavarupa. So जब भी हम किसी चीज को अगर if we will burn something, burn a pot, okay, obviously it would change its color, its shape, and everything. Okay, but that ultimate atom is not changeable. That is Anadi and Bhagarupa. This is that exactly these things happened with the avidya. Okay, exactly that happens with the avidya. That avidya is anadi because it cannot be changed. Okay, something is destroyed, the worldly perceptions, whatever is perceivable, that would be destroyable. But the ultimate cause, that avidya, it is anadi because whatever is the ultimate material cause of everything, that has to be anadi and also bhagarupa. Number three is the addition of the term Jnananasha. that why the term Jnanasya they used. The Dvaita Vedantis also have the objection and problem with the usage of the term Jnanasya. Why? Because according to the Advaita Vedantis, the Dvaita Vedantis, according to the Dvaita Vedantis, that if we will say about the Prativashika's problems like the rope and snakes illusion and everything, that as we know that whenever we will get enough light to see the rope exactly, then after some time so we will come to know that yes, it is the rope, it is not the snake. Okay, but what's about those things when a mirror looks like red by the reflection of a china rose? Because that time, that particular time, basically, actually we perceive that mirror as red, and we cannot ignore that fact. Though it is the fact, okay, I will come it later in this point. But the problem is, according to the Advaita Vedantis, that whenever we will get enough light to see the rope exactly, then red. So, what kind of what is the logic? What is the arguments the Advaita Vedantis would say here? Number two is that we know that there is a point of Jivan Mukti. Okay, so if a soul is a Purusha is a Jivan Mukta Purusha, that means it is very interesting. I also love this point. Like, if a person is Jivan Mukta Purush, that means he also gets liberation. He is also he is already a illuminated soul, but that because he is still alive in this world, that is why he has to carry his gross body with him. Whatever the actions he will perform, that action will be performed by this body, which is actually the product of the avidya. And if any our actions will be performed through the product of this body, which is the product of avidya, then all the actions and everything will become impure, will become false and everything. Though that person has the illuminated soul, the liberated soul, then what is even there the argument that the Jnananasha, even that soul is Jnani, that soul is the illuminated one, but still it cannot destroy that action which is produced by that avidya, avidya's production, that body. Okay, that cannot refute. Though this soul is the Jnani soul, the illuminated soul, the liberated soul. Then what is the that reply of the Advaita Vedantis. Advaita Vedantis reply is like very much interesting. They said that it is something that it is the reality that yes, that time when the redness of some object reflects on the mirror, we are perceiving that mirror as red. But what is the natural instinct of the mirror? Is the mirror itself is red? That is not the reality. It is just for the time frame. Whenever we will displace that red object from that place, okay, that mirror will become white again, which is actually its intrinsic look, its intrinsic quality. Okay, so that is why the same logic is applicable to Brahman as well. That whenever the avidya will be destroyed by the pure Gyan, that is why the avidya is Jnananasya. Jab bhi it will be destroyed, okay, removed by the pure Gyan, the Jnana of the Brahman. Then the Brahma would come in its pure form, which is the nirguna form, which is the purest form, then we would not perceive the world anymore as reality. As real, we will not perceive. Then we will know that whatever is performing by me, whatever the action I am performing, whatever I am perceiving in front of me, these all are false basically. Whatever is right, that ultimate Brahman and myself, the Jivatma, these both are identical with each other. There is no differences between these two. So now the case is, like whenever we displace this red object from that particular place from where it is reflecting on the mirror, the mirror will again become white. Whatever is its intrinsic nature and intrinsic quality, the mirror is white. Okay, this is a very, like, very nice argument. On the other hand, they would say that as we know that the Jivan Mukta Purusha's case, the Advaitavadins would say that in the Jivan Mukta Purusha's case, that we know that there is some, Pratibandhak, some obstacles. We all know that in Indian philosophy, there is a notion of Pratibandhak. Okay, Pratibandhak is what? Which works as the obstacles. Obstacles for what? To know the pure knowledge, to know the real knowledge. These things works as the obstacles, the pratibandhak. So, what is the pratibandhak in the case of that liberated soul? For that liberated soul, it is our prarabdha karma. It is our prarabdha karma which works as the pratibandhak. That is why the illuminated soul, because we all know, okay, that even it is mentioned, it is very clearly and explicitly described in Gita, and even in every, it is a very basic of the Indian philosophy, that there are some karmas, prarabdha karma, and like, that. The Sanchita karma, Sanchayaman karma, there are some differences between. So the Prarabdha karma is that until or unless my Prarabdha karma will be done or finished by my this soul, by my this Atman, my body will be in the world and my body will perform all the actions. Okay, whatever I need to perform. Okay, my body needs to perform. Whatever the performances will be done by my body. These all are due to that obstacles or pratibandhak prarabdha karma. So, as soon as when the prarabdha karma will be dissolved, when the prarabdha karma will be finished, okay, the illuminated soul, the liberated soul will that it is something that they or the world will know that whatever I am performing, each and everything is actually the Vyavaharic stages works I am doing. It is not the ultimate one, not the purest form. So this is the, that this is the reply from Advaita Vedantis. So these were the three questions. There is something like, according to the Dvaita philosophy, I need to mention here, according to the Dvaita philosophy, the avidya is sadi, and there is a, that inference. There is an inference, and there is a very big, huge, long arguments they had between these, between them. But I do not want to get into this argument because it is a huge one. So I actually wanted to pick up these three questions, these three arguments, and the problems with these three adjectives introduced by the, Advaita Vedantis in the definition of avidya. Okay, so now the problem is the Ramanujan philosophy. The Daitas part is already done. I actually wanted to finish the Daitas part fast because the Ramanuja's part already, sometimes we know, we already read. Okay, there are seven kinds of anupapattis. There are seven kind of anupapattis. By these anupapattis, they had shown that the Vishishta Daitavadins shown that whatever the definition, okay, has been provided by or given by the Advaita school, this is actually cannot stand. What these seven anupapattis are, that Ashranupapatti, why? According to Ashranupapatti, that the avidya does not have any shelter. Okay, but here I must say that even in the beginning when I started my lecture, I already had said that according to Ramanujan and some Vedanta scholars, some Vedanta philosophies, okay, some Vedanta philosophers and some scholars as well, that Maya is the Shakti of the Ishvara, okay, the Shakti of the Ishvara. So in this way, the Maya can take the shelter on the Ishwar. Even the Advaita Vedantis would reply in this way because the Jivatma is the Agyani Atma, though it is the Brahma Sarupa, it is the identical, it is the soul which is identical with the pure form like Brahman. But as it is like Agyani Atma, that is why the Agyan, the Jivatma also can be taken as the shelter of the avidya. So the in this way, the Advaita philosophy replied, 1 minute. In this way, the Advaita Vedanti replied to the first Anupapatti, introduced by Ramanujan. It's the Ashrani Pavatti. Number two is Tirodhana Papatti. The Tirodhana Papatti is what? That if Brahman covers itself by the Maya, then Brahman would not be real anymore. Okay, because whatever is real, it cannot contain anything unpure in it. Okay, if with the world considers the God as the purest form, if the Shiva is the purest form, the purest, the entity. Okay, then we cannot say that the Shiva has something impure in him. Okay, or in his entity, the reality. So in this way, then we have to say that the Brahman would not be the real or purest form anymore. So we cannot say that even it would not be the saprakasha anymore. Okay, so that is why it would not be the saprakasha anymore, because somewhere it contains something impure in it, okay, which is reflected by the avidya. Okay, number three is Swarupanupapatti. Swarupanupapatti is what? That its Swarup, its identity is not clear. The ignorance's identity is not clear, because if it is whatever the object it is, either it has to be considered as real or it has to be considered as unreal. So we cannot say that it is sat sat or it is anirvachaniya. If we will say that its identity would become ambiguous. So its swarup, its identity is not clear. Number four is the Anirvachaniya Papatti, that it is not possible that the object is undescribable. If it is undescribable, then this object has to be considered as a fictitious one. Okay. Pramanupapatti is what? Pramanupapatti is that Maya is something which is not proved by the Praman, like perception. We cannot claim the avidya's existence by the Pratyaksha Praman. Okay, by the Pratyaksha Praman. Because in the case of Pratyaksha Praman, we know that Indriyartha Shannikashtak Jannam Pannam Jnanam Pratyaksham. Okay, Pratyaksha Praman. So our senses, our five organs is not these cannot be connected with some particular object, what I already discussed in the case of Daita philosophies. So the same thing but relatable, what Ramanujan raised as the objection. So, as it is not proved by the perception, so there is the lack of the pramanas through which we can claim the existence of avidya. Okay, number six is Nivartakanu Papatti, that as Brahman and Maya both are Sat. So, Sat in which way? Because these both are not, avidya is not unreal to the Ramanuja's philosophy. Okay, so that is why, because it is the power of the Ishvara to them. So the power of Ishvara cannot be the unpure one, cannot be the false one. Okay, so it is not possible to withdraw itself. It's withdrawal. It destroys. It is not possible. And number seven is the nivrittanupapatti. So it is something that overall I would say that if after gets this lecture, according to me, if I would conclude this overall lecture with some points, then first of all, according to me, that Advaita Vedantis, though they introduce, they have given very strong points as their that reply to answer their points. But even after that, I would say that because opposites exist, we know that there is opposites first of all. Secondly, the case that if there is something that you are saying that there is anything true and anything false, then by default you are considering something's existence. Okay, you cannot say that yes, it is something which is unpure, which is false, because though you are considering its existence, okay, as the false one, okay, as the unreal one, but still you were considering his existence. So you cannot claim that yes, there is no duality. Okay, there is something Advaita only. You cannot say. And the second point, I would say that because we know that even in Nyaya philosophy, they also say that Vyavaharivad, like whatever I am doing in my Vyavaharik life, okay, if anything feasible in my using, in my uses, then I would say that yes, it is not right, it is not there, okay, there is something above, then I would say, okay. But I cannot ignore, I cannot avoid the chain of my life that yes, my gross body is growing up. When I was born, I was a baby, and right now my body is growing up, my senses are growing up, everything is growing up. So, how can I even ignore this chain of my life and the chain of I cannot, nobody of us can, ignore or avoid that or reject the fact that yes, before some time it was very sunny. It was light outside. We cannot claim that. And now it is just dark outside. We cannot ignore these facts. So how can we say that, yes, whatever I am perceiving, it is just unreal? Okay. So this is my point. So somewhere, yes, I support the Dvaitavadi's point, but though obviously all of the points from this both of the sides are very wise and strong as well. So this was my presentation overall. So thank you so much to all of them, all of you basically, to be patient very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Madam Dr. Sarmistha Nandi, for your very enlightening talk on ignorance from the from different perspective of Vedanta. Today, your reflective presentation on ignorance from the perspective of Daita or Daita and Visishta Daita Darshan reflects your good understanding on Advaita philosophy. And today, you have given a very uh, good, very clear and conceptual uh, definition and clarity on the concept ignorance. And you have specifically given the definition, nature, and in influence on jnana sakti and kriya sakti, and the types and causes of avidya, and all these things have developed the dimensions of understanding on the concept. So thanks so much, madam, for your clear understanding and clear presentation on avidya. And lastly, you have also presented the seven dimensions of knowledge of ignorance following Ramanuja's philosophy. So today I appreciate your presentation and and extend my congratulations for presenting such a very clearful presentation. Now I would like to invite Professor Dr. K. Omnar now to moderate the question answer session. Over to Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Maharana. I also thank Dr. Nandi for the lecture. Well, we have with us Dr. Ranjit Ghoskar. As usual, let us move to Dr. Ghosh. for his observations. Sir, namaskar, sir. Please, your observations and questions, sir. Please, Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. The young lady has presented her presentation on Advaita, Dvaita, and Visishtadvaita very nicely. But I would like to add one thing, and she has not mentioned about the locus of the avidya. That she has peripherally mentioned that about avidya. But first we have to find out the locus of the avidya, the jiva, atman, or whatever it may be. Because actually, from there actually we find that avidya is nothing but a spiritual delusion. Because and for that reason, uh, unless you fix the locus, you cannot just say that avidya is anadi. Okay, because you see, we say in Buddhism we say it is dukkha. Dukkha exists, and in Vedanta we say avidya exists. So these presuppositions actually brings forth the question: whose dukkha or whose avidya? So locus must be fixed. This is one
Okay,
thing.
sir, I'm very sorry to interpret between, but I need to say that when I have started, I was talking about the Vivartanavad. Okay, so where I have clearly mentioned that the avidya actually imposed on the Brahman, and even whenever I discussed about the Asrayanupapatti, so I was mentioning about the Asraya, the shelter of the avidya. Okay, that where it occurs basically, where it imposes its qualities or the falsity on which, so that I discussed, but through some points.
Yeah.
I
But you
didn't
have to
mention any.
clearly
Yes,
mention
yes.
about the locus, because it is the ultimately it is the Atman Jiva or whatever it may be, that actually is in Avidya. So and therefore it is beginningless, and therefore we say it is the uncaused root cause or whatever it may be, because that is how we make it a type of presupposition, and then we try to clarify the situations by which we can overcome this type of avidya, and for which you are bringing several issues by which avidya can be eradicated. So this is how this is the first suggestion I would like to make, that that is why avidya is a kind of not knowing that comes from an insight and leads to an insight. Okay, the avidya is a kind of not knowing that comes from an insight, and again it leads to an insight. So that is the observations, and other things that you have presented very nicely, bringing the Sankhya, the Vedanta distinction, and these all these things. And thank you very much. Carry on.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bose. Well, he has raised very beautiful points on avidya because fixing his locus is so important. Dr. Nandi will look into this, take into this issue. Okay. But during the course of the discussion, he will be reflecting on this. But uh,
Sir, your voice is not clear. Your voice is
oh,
not coming clearly.
acha. Am I audible now?
Yes, you
Am I
are
audible?
audible enough, but it is not clear to me. I do
Oh,
not know that it can be possible that my handset has some problem, but it is not very much clear to me.
well, I have to switch to a different place. Well, let me see if it can help me. Well, is it audible now if I put off my camera? Is it audible now? Is it audible now? It's audible. Well, I thank Dr. Bose for his comments. Well, we'll look into what Dr. Bose has said in the course of the further discussion. Well, if I take a question from the chat box, it is one somebody, Kanucharan Sahu. he wants to know
Yes.
whether what is the status of avidya, whether it is subjective or it is objectified. Whether you does avidya has an objective status or it is purely subjective. What is your stand, and especially with reference to the three schools that you have taken?
Where is the chat box? I am just finding the chat box. Can we? Uh,
Well,
where is the chat box here?
is my voice
That
not going
question
to
is
you?
not clear because if, you know that you, as I say, that your voice is not clear to me. So that is why I cannot get the voice properly.
Is Avidya objective or subjective? Very simple question. Is
Okay, okay.
Avidya
No, no, no.
objective or subjective?
Okay, okay. And no, it is like, are you talking about like the no, according to the notion of Advaita Vedantis? Or you are asking like what is my perception?
No, taking the three schools, okay, the schools that you have referred to. Well, well, all
Again,
the
it is
schools.
not clear to me.
Yes, yes, I am repeating what he is saying. You define Avidya referring to the three schools, Dvaita, Advaita, and Visishta Dvaita, and also your own view, whether it is objective or subjective. What is said about Avidya in the schools you have
Hmm.
referred, Dvaita, Advaita, and Visishta Dvaita.
Hmm.
Whether it is objective or subjective, very simple question, objective or subjective. Avidya is objective or subjective. Forget the schools. Generally,
Okay, okay.
generally you say whether it is objective or subjective. Whether it should be objective or should be subjective.
No, no. Are you asking about my view?
Yes, you give your view referring to any school you like.
Okay, okay. Like, see, if I will take the Advaita Vedantis notion, then if I am, because I am standing right now at the Vyavaharika Satta, then obviously it is something which is objective. Okay, because it is something visible to me, but due to the avidya only. So in that way, it is objective, but it is something. If it is something, okay, but again I am saying that it differs from the school to school. If you are asking about my view, then it is something that if I will get the acquire the pure knowledge, then if, because there is always a scope, okay, to get get over from this avidya. So then it is subjective because it is in my hand that if I will get the brahma gyan, then I can overcome this one. But yes, if because we are at the Vyavaharika school, then it is objective.
Okay. Anyway, well, now is my voice going to you now? Is my voice going to you now?
Yes, it is coming, but not clear at all, basically.
Well, well, anyway, we have with us Dr. Srinivasan Krishnamurthy sir. Well, welcome sir. Please your views. Any questions from your side? Dr. Krishnamurthy Iyer sir. Let me please check with others. Well, is my voice audible or not? Because anybody, acha, but maybe since some network issue there. Well, Krishnamurthy sir, are you there? He has raised his hand, and Krishnamurthy sir. Well, in the time Krishnamurthy sir comes back, well, I have a question.
Yeah,
Well, Krishnamurthy sir, please
yeah.
come, please, your question.
Good evening to all, and especially to Dr. Sarmistha Nandi for her excellent presentation.
Sir, can you please write
Relating to
this question in the chat box? Though I am finding the chat box, but where is the chat box?
are you not able to? Am I not audible?
Call
Hello,
messages. Yes, it is
hello.
visible here. Yes, you are audible, but I do not know that why the voices are not coming to me very clearly. It is not coming to me clearly.
It is a big question. I think I'm afraid that it will take some time for me to write and then explain.
Sir,
Srivastav sir, I have a request that please
yes.
write this question in the chat box. Then, like, it will be visible clearly.
No, in, uh, uh, instead of making a big question, I will uh, explain that very shortly. Okay.
Hmm?
The question, if Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya is Jivo Brahmaiva Para, the question that according to all Upanishads and Brahma Sutra and Adi Shankaracharya, know that O Svetaketu in Chandogya Upanishad, and I am Brahman in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the self alone is to be meditated upon in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad again. The question that naturally arises, if truth is
Sir,
what?
nothing is audible, sir. Nothing is audible. Who is speaking? I have
Exactly,
nothing.
nothing is audible clearly. I just got this point that you were talking about that that
Sir,
Is it
Brahma
audible
Satya
now?
Jagat
Is it
Mithya.
audible? Is it audible? Is it audible now? Hello?
oh, very slow.
It must be audible. Hello, it must be audible now.
It is
Hello?
audible, but it is not clear enough. Please,
Then
please
I
write
will
it
put
in
it
the
in chat
chat
box.
box. Then it will be
Okay.
visible to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Wait a second, a minute. Right? Well, Dr. Nandi, are you able to listen to me now?
Hello.
Dr. Are you able to listen to me?
It
No,
is
sir, not
something
able.
that everybody's voice is coming to me, but it is not clear at all. Okay, Anish Dash, hello Sharmistha, you have presented today's lecture very nicely. I have two questions that for my clarification only. First is the avidya and absence of pure knowledge, or is it an opposite of Anish? There is a question that what I already discussed very explicitly. Okay, that as these avidyas are okay, this is already refers something absence. What is the absence? Two kinds of absence they were talking about, that is the atantya bhava and ananya bhava. Okay, that three kind of absence is what it can be the opposite of the pure knowledge. It is something which is different from the pure knowledge, and obviously it is something which is not the pure knowledge at all. And the abhava of pure knowledge in the sense of atantya bhava, that pure knowledge in the avidya, there is the absence of three colors, that is the atantya bhava. So whatever is that your question, that the that avidya's absence, that yes, this is the absence of the pure knowledge according to the Advaita Vedantis. It is the absence of the pure knowledge they were talking about the avidya. Okay. So the next question is, Advaitin says Maya or Avidya is the instrument of Brahmas, and Brahman is untouched by Maya or Avidya. I see a paradox there here. How to, okay. The case is like yes, it is untouched. It is untouched because Brahman is something, it is pure. We cannot make it unpure. What I said just when I was talking about that mirror and the reflection of the china rose, that because sometimes due to that time when my soul is agyani, just that time duration I am perceiving that Brahman as the world. It the Brahman representing the the avidya representing the Brahman as the world, but it is not the case. Even I actually do not know that but it is okay. In the very beginning I told that In reality, the Brahman cannot transform it. It is the unchanged one. It is the avidya due to which avidya represents that Brahman as the world and the worldly objects, but the Brahman remains unchanged. Okay, Brahma is something which is unchanged. Truth cannot be contradictory. Veins arise. This may which we experience through the senses. How do you interpret truth? How do you interpret pluralism or multiple uh, Purushas? So, multiple Purushas is obviously, uh, as per the teaching of Advaita Vedantis, they will always say that Jivatmas are identical with Paramatmas. Okay, so that is why they use that Jiva Brahmaiva Napada. Okay, it is due to our avidya, we are perceiving the individual Purushas. Okay, the individual Purushas are perceiving by us due to the avidya. But what is the reality? That the Jiva and the Brahman, these both are basically identical with each other. Okay, so I think that though your question is little unclear to me, but I think that as your question was related to Purushas, this is the answer. How to eliminate the upadhis. See, it is a very good question, but still I think that I already told it. Upadhis Upadhi is what? Upadhi is the qualities, the characteristics, even the world. The world is a upadhi which is imposed on the Brahman. Okay, so that upadhi will be destroyed by the Brahma Gyan, by the Atma Gyan. So how can someone I will give another paper on it. Okay, it cannot be said in one or two words, but if I will answer it with one sentence, then yes, by the Atma Gyan, by the in the Brahma Gyan, one can restore the upadhi, the characteristics, the false characters and qualities of Brahman. Okay, what is the next question? Is avidya so powerful to conceal Brahman? If so, then it cannot be different from Brahman. What the just Sir Om Narayan Rao's question is just identical with Ramanujan's point. Okay, that if it is this both, if something is unpure, okay, then what? How can we take the Brahman as its shelter? Okay, these both are true. We have to say these both are true. Okay, according to Ramanujan. But as your question is that is avidya is powerful, first of all, due to our agyan, we see the Brahman as world, but in actuality, in the state of Paramarthika, the Brahman remains unchanged. It cannot be changed. It is just due to the Agyan. And the next point I would like to add here that the point of the Shakti Chaitanya. Okay, this is our Shakti Chaitanya, which is a Drushta, who actually sees the world, the Ishvara and everything, okay, as real. It is not that our Brahma Sarup is Anirvachana, it is the Nirguna one. It is not the Droshta, but the Shakti Chaitanya is the Droshta. Okay, how do you explain adhyas? Adhyas is what? Adhyas is something that it is the upadhi and the upadhyaya. Okay, that's Adhyasa's point is completely different. Adhyas is something that the imposition, superimposition. Okay, superimposition is what? That when I am imposing the characteristics of something on other object, that is the adhyas, the superimposition. Okay, this is the adhyas. Avidya is the false knowledge which which actually imposing its falsity on, and that for imposing is the adhyas basically. Okay, there is adhyas there, but with adhyas I can give another paper. Secondly, okay, Anisa, second, if the avidya is a bhava vastu, then it should fall either into the realm of being Sat, existence, or of being Asat, non existence. Therefore, is it not actually a contradictory? Anish, the point you wrote here, that exactly point that Daitavadi said. I do not know that maybe it can be possible because I could not present the PPT. That is why such kind of questions are raising here. But this I already told that it seems like self-contradictory then. Okay, that you were saying that it does not exist, it is not real, but you are on the other hand, you were saying that it is Vavarupa. But in which way it is Vavarupa? The way, because whatever I explained it very clearly that I cannot refer some object as avava, but I can see the avava through its influences. Okay, in this way it is Bhavarupa. Okay, whenever the Daita Vedantis raise the point that yes, it seems very self-contradictory that it does not exist, but at the same time you are claiming it is Vavarupa. Then the Advaita Vedantis said that it is Vavarupa because we are perceiving this avidya through its influences, though it is not perceivable as this object pain. Okay, I already described it very clearly. I described it. Uh, then when true knowledge will come according to Sankara uh, in the empirical reality. Sir, empirical reality. You were talking about Vyavaharika Satya, right? Vyavaharika Satya, as your question is by following the Shankara's philosophy. Shankara will always say that Vyavaharik Satya is false until or unless we are not acquire the Brahma Gyan. Whenever we will acquire the Brahma Gyan, we will come to know about the falsity of this empirical world. Okay, so we'll get according to the Sankaras, the empirical world is false. The knowledge of the empirical world, it is due to our avidya. We are considering whatever I am perceiving in front of me as reality, it is due to our avidya. Okay. So whenever I will get the Brahma Gyan, uh, I will come to know that whatever is true, that is the Brahman. That time I will come to know about the knowledge of the Paramathic Satta. And I will come to know that whatever I have seen throughout the day, that was a Vyavaharik Satta and it was unreal. This is the answer. And Anish's questions answer, and some questions I think that I do not know that I explained it very clearly. Some of the questions that are raising here, it is okay to asking, but it is something that I already have explained these things very clearly. And next the question, only knowledgeable people can understand. What about ignorant people? All the people are ignorant, sir, until or unless we are not we will not get the Brahma Gyan according to Shankara's philosophy. We all are Jnani. In Vyavaharik level, all of the things are real. But जब भी आप पारमार्थिक में जाएंगे, this all will become like unreal to all of us. जो ज्ञानी है उसके लिए तो पारमार्थिक ज्ञान सत्य हो ही गया, और अज्ञानी के लिए दिस वर्ल्ड इज ट्रू, द वर्ल्डली ऑब्जेक्ट्स आर ट्रू, वॉट एवर इज विजिबल टू मी. Thank you, sir.
Madam, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible to you, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You have explained the entire things very nicely. Really excellent deliberation. And my question is that Maya and Avidya both are identical. Or there is difference between Maya and Avidya?
Yes, in Ramanujan's philosophy, they actually tried to make a difference between Maya and Avidya. Okay, according to them, Maya is actually the power of the Ishwar. Okay, because I had a very small time, so
Power of the Ishwar or power of the Brahman?
power of the Ishwar. According to the Ramanujan, I am saying Ramanujan some even sir, this answer I already discussed in my when I was presenting, that Maya is what according to the Ramanujan's philosophy or some Vedantis as well. Not about the, I am not talking about the Advaita Vedantis, for some Vedantis that the Maya is something which is the Shakti of Brahman, but
Okay.
sorry, Ishwar. Okay, but Brahman is Maya or Avidya is the Shakti of Brahman that would be said by the Advaita Vedantis, not the Ramanujan would say that. According to Ramanujan, Brahma is the Ishwar, Brahma is the Vishnu.
Yes, yes.
According to Madhavacharya, Brahman is Vishnu.
Thank you, madam. Madam, there are three schools that the Aditya Deto and Vishishta Deto. Which school do you like very much? Views of which school? What is your
Vishishtadaita and Vishishtadaita.
Aditya Deto and Vishishta Deto? There are three schools, three views. Which view
Okay,
do you
okay.
like? Which view do you like very much? What is your opinion?
I liked because I am a very realistic person. So, at least in these cases, I am a very realistic person. So, obviously, I would support the Daitavadan notion.
Daitya,
What I actually said in my conclusion, that we cannot ignore that what is the chain of my empirical world's, day-to-day life experiences. I cannot ignore. Nobody can ignore even.
okay, thank you.
The idea of avidya
Hello,
deliberately
hello, madam.
introduced. Yes,
Hello,
yes,
madam. Would you listen me?
yes, yes, yes.
Madam, you have said that Avidya is said to be the power of Brahman. If Avidya is said to be the power of Brahman, then what is the stand on the nature of ignorance or Avidya, whether it is a separative consciousness or pure consciousness?
Avidya.
Yes. Avidya is a
Ob-
separative consciousness
Obviously,
or pure
avidya.
consciousness?
It is it is a very good question, but I already even answered these also. That I just talked about Sakhi Chaitanya. Okay. Obviously, avidya is not the pure knowledge. It is, I several times I said that the refers about the absence of the pure knowledge in avidya. Okay, and that would be that affirmed by Advaita and Advaita, both of them. But the problem is there that now somebody can raise such kind of question that you are saying that this is the avidya is the unpure one and the Brahman is the pure one. Then how and why the Brahma can give the shelter to the unpure one? So there is the notion of Shakti Chaitanya. Shakti Chaitanya is the Droshta. Okay. That Shakti Chaitanya, due to the Shakti Chaitanya, will see everything. This is not the Brahman basically. There is a very subtle points. There are very subtle points and subtle arguments are there. Okay, in the Vedanta philosophy, it is not very much very easy to explain everything with some specific sentences. But this is something that yes, whatever was the question of yours, that it is the unpure one or the pure one, as it is the power of Brahman. But yes, it is the unpure one. It is the absence of the knowledge. Why? Because according to Advaita philosophy, it is the false one. It is the false one. And this is our Shakti Chaitanya, which perceiving the avidya. This is not the Brahman. Brahma remains unchanged always.
Okay, thank
And
Well, I have one question. That is, you see, according to Shankaracharya, we find that he is taking the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad's idea and accepts avidya as lack of knowledge, inadequate knowledge, and false knowledge taken together. But when you are coming to Dvaita and Visishta Dvaita, the thing that inadequate knowledge becomes more important. Because in Dvaita, you find that you maintain self's eternal distinction with Brahman. And in Visishta Dvaita, you say that self is distinct from, yet also merged into Brahman. So this is how inadequate knowledge becomes gets a special uh, importance in Dvaita and Visishtadvaita. But in Sankara, all these three are taken together. Do you?
Inadequate knowledge is has to be considered as the not the pure knowledge. So obviously it is the avidya. It should be included in avidya.
Yes, it is there. Inadequate
Yes.
knowledge and false knowledge and lack of knowledge. These taken together creates Abhidha as Shankara has taken from Vedantika Upanishad. But in Visishtadvaita and Dvaita, if you maintain you have to accept that these are the inadequate knowledge because you don't get a complete identification with the Brahman there. So you please think over it. I just giving you just a give
No,
to think over the
the case is that what I can add here, okay, that as the Daita philosophy say that even how much we can try or something like that, but we cannot reach at the level of Vishnu or the Paramatma. Okay, so if we will take that part, that what you say that according to you that the inadequate knowledge, so they will never say that at least the Daita Vedantis, the Madhvacharya will never say that we can reach at the level of God. So obviously there is nothing like that. It is due to the inadequate knowledge or lack of knowledge or false knowledge. Even I have the inadequate knowledge or something less knowledge, even after that, maybe if I will work on myself, then I can purify and I can rectify myself. Okay, but still I will not get into the level or the stage of God.
So let's move
point of
to
view. Thank you.
let's
Thank you.
move to Professor Pramod Kumar Das, sir, for his observation. Professor Das, Professor Pramod Kumar Das.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Samishta Madam,
Thank
for
you, sir.
your talk was very comprehensive, and you had referred to many arguments, and you have tried to prove your stand. Actually, in all these schools, we have two things. One is the ultimate truth, that is abadhitam, that cannot be contradicted, that is the completeness, that is pure consciousness, that is the totality, that is the unmanifest. This is one part. And the second part is the manifestation, the modification, the diversity, um, uh, the Vyavaharika
Plurality.
Satta, plurality, Vyavaharika Satta, all these things. Then there are two agents. In that camp, the agent is Brahman. In this camp, the agent is Jiva. This is the common thing that we are discussing. This is common sense.
Mm.
Two status of reality and two agents are there in the charge of totality. Brahman is there. In the charge of diversity, multiplicity, contradictions, Jiva is there in the charge of this. Then what happens? There is a gap between known and the ultimate. There is a gap. It cannot be negotiated. If it is negotiated, If it becomes identical, then the Jiva is not there. Jiva becomes Brahman. According to Advaita.
Exactly.
According
Yes.
to Advaita.
Yes. According to Advaita.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
So metaphysically,
That is why they said na that
yes,
Jiva
yes.
Brahma Eva now pare.
I am just summarizing your talk in 5 minutes only. So two stands are there. One is the unmanifest. You mute yourself, madam. You mute yourself. Madam, you mute yourself. Yes, I am muting.
Okay. 1 minute.
I
1 minute.
muted. Okay. Metaphysically, if we shall try to explain that unmanifest, that ultimate, it can be described, explained in many ways, not only in 3 ways, in many ways. One way of interpretation is Advaita, that it is one. That means everything can be explained by one principle only. The second interpretation of that ultimate is Dvaita. That means everything can be explained by two things only, Purusha and Prakriti, matter and consciousness. And the third interpretation is that manyness. According to Vishishta Dvaitavada, it is Vishishta. There are many. Everything is real, like Leibniz. Like Leibniz. So three possible interpretations are there relating to the question, what is the ultimate reality? It is one or two or many. Similarly, from this camp, Jiva, there are also three types of interpretation. What is the status of Jiva in Advaita school? If Advaita school claims that metaphysically the Brahman is one, so Jiva cannot stand as a second reality. Therefore, Jiva Brahmaiva na paraha. Jiva cannot stand as a second reality. It appears to be Jiva appears to be there. Even Jiva itself is false from the Paramartha Sattva because there cannot be two, only one. Jiva Brahmaiva na paraha. If we take the stand of Advaita, the locus of Jiva is well understood because there can be duality. The status of both can be understood separately. And in Vishishta Dvaitavada also we have explained that Jiva and God are not same. Jiva may have godhood. So God is a distinct reality. It remains superior to human existence, and God and Jiva are not identical. Similarly, God and Brahman are also not identical. So the point is, whatever may be the school, you like Dvaita, I like Advaita, somebody may like Visishta Dvaita, that does not matter. The matter is, there is a gap between the ultimate reality and the known reality. And in the part of the known reality, we are there as individual souls, that means limited soul. If that is the complete soul, the Jiva is the limited soul. If Brahman is the complete knowledge, Jiva is the limited knowledge. If Brahman is the pure consciousness, here Jiva is limited consciousness. And there is a journey, there is a transformation. Therefore, there are different kosas of layers of consciousness. That means same ultimate Brahman is covered by different layers. Different layers means different status of individual's existence. Suppose my ignorance is not your ignorance. All are ignorance, but there are degrees of ignorance. So there is a graduation, there is a gradual process. The mind has its ladder to the state of a Brahman. How far we are closer to that pure consciousness. That is the purpose of Vedanta teaching, that is the purpose of yoga, that is the purpose of education. That we are transforming one layer of consciousness to another layer of consciousness. In this way, we shall be with the moment we shall be identified with the pure consciousness, the jiva hood is lost. There is no jiva at all. So, if we claim that Dvaita is favorite, Dvaita is more preferable, in the realistic sense, Advaita also does not reject this. Advaita philosophy is saying that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, every person should have this understanding that ultimately whatever is appearing to be real is not real. This is the knowledge only everybody should have. The person who does not have this understanding, he is always in the spell of Maya, in the spell of ignorance. What is avidya? Avidya is the state of not understanding the totality. I said that there is a gap. So all that gap is avidya. That means my knowledge is limited. From my brain is limited. By this limited brain, this limited knowledge, I cannot have that complete knowledge. For that I need vidya. But through avidya, I cannot have that ultimate knowledge of that ultimate truth. So avidya is natural to the individual. But what is Maya? Maya is not individual. Avidya is individual. My avidya is not your avidya. The degrees of avidya are different. I am my avidya means my ignorance. That means I am ignorant of my own identity. If I am jiva, if I am identical with Brahman, if this is the truth, but I am not aware of this. I am ignorant of this. So this is avidya. But what is Maya? Maya is not individual. Maya is the cosmic illusion. The cosmic illusion, the total manifestation, which is also an appearance of that ultimate Brahman. In Advaita it is called Vivarta. In Ramanuja it is called Parinambad. In Sankhya it is called Prakriti Parinambad. In Ramanuja it is called Brahma Parinambad. And in Advaita it is called Brahma Vivartavad. These are different Vadas, different interpretations about the relation between the ultimate and the appearance. So anyway, you related these three schools very beautifully, and you out of these three schools you are preferring Dvaita, very good. But we should have that common sense that this is the one that is the ultimate, and the rest is the world of diversities. Therefore, we are marching towards. We are all finite beings, and we are marching towards that infinity, in epistemologically and also really. Really means we are becoming. We are becoming. The more we know, we excel our existence. So pure consciousness is not only epistemological. Pure consciousness is also pure existence and also pure ananda, bliss. Not only I am purely conscious, but also my existence is pervaded, and my happiness is also becomes very pure. So epistemologically and ontologically and also ethically, ethical means I am happy, I am getting ananda. We excel. That means we become the complete. This is this way we can interpret Vedanta relating to different schools. But I congratulate Sarmistha Madam that she has collected so many points. We should listen those points. Of course, in question answer session, what we are interpreting, that is something else. But the notes she has prepared, then that is very good for reviewing, that we can view it again and again. Thank you, madam. Over to Dr. Rao.
Well, thank you, sir, for your observations. Well, since the speaker is not able to listen to what we are saying, maybe so it's one-sided. Okay. So, well, let's move to Dr. Kailas Mahana, sir, for proposing the formal vote of thanks. Well, I thank Sarmistha Madam for a beautiful talk. Well, it would have been still better had the interactive system been through a dialogue rather than through the chat box. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much.